It's so pretty outside today.
Yeah, I'm looking out.
Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing? I hope y'all are having a good Monday. I think I forgot to put my reminder on Instagram, but y'all are here. We are today not gonna we're not gonna be too structured. There's a lot going on in the world today. There's a lot happening depending on what corner of the internet you're on. I just thought we would just have just a nice chit chat, but just a few y'all, and I don't have language today. A few announcements. That's what I'm thinking. So, us is for 28th, and we are in like a week from this in this 90-day proposal challenge. If you've been on the fence about this, I need you to talk to the people who are in the challenge. Like, if you are on the fence about, is this possible? Do I even need this? What if I already have a chair in the supportive committee? I need you to talk to people because this week, folks have written more than they have in weeks. Folks have written their introduction, they have written their positionality statements, paradigms, and they just have the thing that like stands out to me the most is that they have this you could just see like this spark in their eyes about I could do this, like this is going to happen, like I'm going to finish my proposal. If that is what you want, like if that's how you want to feel, pray, come and join us. So I'm not gonna sell it too much. I want to make sure we have enough time. I do want to invite you though to join us on Wednesdays. Like the writing sessions in the middle of the week is much needed. I know I need it when I created it. That's how I got to Qual Scholars to begin with. But join us. It's free. The link is definitely in whatever platform you're on is in the bio. Okay, so I'm gonna close this and I'm just gonna do some introductions. How are y'all? We are gonna have a pop culture segment. I need a name. So if anybody is watching this, you have a name, you let me know. I'm gonna turn on Instagram too. Yeah, I think we just start off by saying who we are and how has this Monday found you, I guess. Whatever comes to mind. How are you doing this Monday?
Well,
Oh,
I'll start off. My name is Dr. C. Marie Henry, Dr. Candace Marie Henry, newly minted doctor, having graduated, gone through the ceremony just this Thursday. And I defended about over a month ago. So I'm really excited to be transitioning into this new space. And so this Monday finds me tired. I find that every time I do something or make a move, I sort of need to take a break right after, and um, and just take a breather and then get back up and go after that task. But there's a lot of things that I need to do. There's a lot of moving pieces, and I'm just trying to keep up. I am keeping up, but yeah, I'm tired, and yeah, I take breaks.
yeah, I feel you, Candace. Hey, everybody. My name's Mimi Owusu. I am a fifth year PhD student at University of Michigan, which is wild. I guess like the semester's over, so I'll be entering year six. This Monday has found me. I don't know how it's found me, but it did, and I'm here. I think it's like that time where I need to take a break. And I feel like I've been like quietly trying to start a vacation, like trying to work, trying to vacate as well. And I think this has been my sign that I just need to vacate. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about before we started the live, we were just talking about the beach. We go to the beach. And so, yes, and long this time of the year is like this. The year's over. You got like if you're on a traditional schedule, I guess you have May. You have a few weeks of May of a break, and then classes
Mhm.
if you have in June. But I'm hoping that everyone can have some time to just rest and be, because I definitely need it as well.
Yes.
So originally, we were going to have a conversation about Amanda Seals, and I absolutely do want to have a conversation. I just also like there's so much other things in the world too that popped up, and so maybe we'll get there. But
Yeah.
I guess Oh, what you're gonna say?
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm just reacting. It's been a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. I just need Kendrick Lamar to hold off for the next song because I need to go to sleep. I was just telling Dr. Henry over here that like if I stay up one more night going down rabbit holes, I'm not going to make it.
Listen, I'm behind right now. I'm like, wait, another track. I don't even know which track I've missed. Like,
Mhm.
it's a lot right now.
It's definitely a lot. Let's go to Amanda Seals. I guess let's first start off with like general reactions from that interview. I know I posted mine. Like I think I was like 30 minutes in. I wanted to at 5 minutes in. At 5 minutes, I had rage, but I was like, let me give it a chance because I jumped to rage quickly. So about 30 minutes though, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make it through this entire interview. And I did have to watch it in sections, but my first reactions to it was rage.
Mm.
Yeah, there were a lot of feelings that emerged, and I think over time, and especially since there's been additional commentary since it's aired, but really the original feelings were. I felt like there was a lot of one. Well, I recognize that Shannon Sharp is not a journalist and everything, but you know, the lack of preparation was a little unnerving, especially some of the comments that he made is like just about her parents and then also like when questioning someone's experiences. And I found myself sitting there because I'm like, okay, why is this interview happening? And because he was challenging a lot of the things that she was saying. So I was wondering like at first, like, why is this happening? And then you know just his you know he invited her to the space, she agreed to it, and this is her opportunity to speak on her experiences, but it just seemed like he did continue to question what she was saying, and that was just a bit bothersome to say the least.
Yeah, I feel like I left watching all 3 hours. And the thing is, I just watched all 3 hours. I believe the day it came out. I think I left just being like, damn, like I wanted the space to be a potential redemptive space for her. And I don't know that she got the opportunity for that. I
Mhm.
also, so I'm a Shannon Sharp. I don't know that I would say a fan, but I enjoy following him and his sports takes, and I enjoy the interviews that he does with athletes. And I just don't think that he was the person to do this type of interview. And so I feel like it also
Mhm.
just put him in a light that I didn't want to see him in. And so I just feel like overall, it was just kind of like, damn, this didn't give what I thought it would give. I've seen Amanda Seals do interviews in other spaces, like with Jamel Hill and folks like that, like people who have like the ability to hold the range of topics that she's prepared to address. And so, yeah, I just left like, damn, this wasn't it. And I feel like he questioned her, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this some more. I feel like he pushed her in the areas that I was just like, no, you needed to have given her space. And then he didn't in the areas where I was like, nah, this is the space to do it. But I just think too, with just how vulnerable she is as a Black woman, I don't know, I just felt like it was hard to watch. And I almost feel like it's hard to talk about her in public because of the vulnerability. I feel like this is what I had a lot of discussions, like group chat type of conversations.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Agree with that.
Like a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we'll pivot a little bit because where I was going to go with this, why I kept watching, because I was like, oh, this is going to make for a great frame for a conversation about what is it like to navigate higher education. And I'm sure other spaces that are adjacent and similar in structure and environment, but it's just thinking about, I I'm trying to tell you this is who I am. I'm coming in, I'm telling you this type of research I'm going to do, telling you this is who I'm excited to work with. And you say yes, yes, yes. And then we get to the dissertation phase. And now it's like, actually, no, we didn't know. You didn't tell us. Like, it's like, it can feel combative. At least that's what I hear in numerous of stories. And so as I was watching this, my brain, and because you sent me that message, Mimi, I was watching it through the lens of, this is exactly how like we're watching it in real time of how this betrayal is playing out. Because I too, before this, was like, Shannon Sharp, listen, okay, you're nice to look at. I'm not trying to objectify him. Like, it's funny. I'm like, you made ESPN bearable to watch. Like, thank you. And for, shout out to Past and Dating, hours of looping of ESPN. But he made it easier to watch. And I thought Club Shay Shay it had up to this point, I feel like, been a place where people can come and share their story. I don't think anyone is watching it. And again, no shade. I don't think anybody's watching it because they're like, oh, his journalistic skills. That's it. We love how he phrases questions. I don't think anybody was there. I understand it was like, oh, we love that you allow people to talk. Like, you're not interrupting them. You're not trying to like go down some angle. Like, he feels like if neutrality could exist, it felt like that was his brand. And so it was clear in my opinion that he wasn't being neutral. Yeah. And in the same way, it's like, here's the safe space, she comes and it's not it. I feel like that same thing happens maybe with your advisor, with your chair, or some other faculty where it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be neutral. It's supposed to be the place where you can say how you feel. And then student after student has told me, I have sat there myself and being like, actually, I can't tell you everything because you don't want to hear it, or you won't believe me, or you'll question if I did something, if I didn't do anything. So I'm not trying to say you need to tell your personal experiences, Mimi and Candace, but any things that might come up, because I'm not trying to say like you need to, support it.
That makes me think of like just an experience I had where I was, sharing a resource, and I've been labeled as the expert of that resource, and talking to an audience. And the audience was not an expert in the resource, but more so like just providing, general feedback and everything. Being in a place where people question what you know, and and that has come up a few times, and not just higher ed, but I've had the opportunity to work outside of higher ed. And so I think that's probably, why I'm running into it, is because I'm working outside of the area of where my expertise is in higher ed. And I'm providing resources like my expertise lies in college affordability, access. I know about scholarships, financial aid, and student loans. So when I'm working with partners and providing those resources and saying, hey, this is the information that is pertinent, and then to be questioned on those things and challenged on those things, and then also then like, oh, well, you're the expert and everything. I think that was the part that was, and I mean, Amanda gave me language for that because I was so frustrated with those types of experiences. But yeah, she gave me language on it. She was like, hey, this is what I've done. This is what I studied for years. And, so when I, sit before you and share this information, I'm not saying it out of like a casual opinion, but more so just, providing that resource from a learned understanding of our African American history for her. So I appreciate her speaking to that, and it's interesting that she had to say that because I feel like this is where, like, this is where, like, she as a Black woman, I feel like it's because she's an educated, learned Black woman that she was being challenged in this way by Shannon. And I've had this conversation with a few other people too. I'm like, I don't understand why he positioned himself like that. Because of you, as you were saying, Dr. Lacey, he has had an open platform to allow people to speak and then position himself to challenge everything she's saying. I did find that interesting. And then also her response to it was, yeah, like I said, gave me language for even my own experience with that.
Yeah, that's good. And Candace, I feel like when I saw him and the way that he responded, it was almost like she was a mirror for him in that, like, the ways that she resists and disruptive, like, just stands against everything that he's been taught as a Black man growing up in the South, and then being a football athlete where he really has had to move in these particular ways. And so I was kind of seeing it in that way. But I think, like, in thinking about watching the interview, I feel like I left and I was like, self-worth is very much so an inside job. I think growing up as a young Black girl and then becoming a Black woman, I feel like I was told, like, go to school, get the degrees. And then when you get the degree, that is when people will take you seriously. And that is when people will listen to you. And that is when fill in the blank. And then it's like you see Black women get degrees on degrees on degrees and still be disrespected. But then at the same time, I understood why she had to say what she said about, like, I am a scholar of this. But for me, scholar or not, or however you're defining scholar, the fact that she was speaking on her own experience for me is what made it something worth listening to. And I think that's where I kind of push back on her, is that I feel like sometimes when she's describing her intelligence or what makes it brilliant, for me, I'm looking at the other things that make her brilliant. It's just her critical thinking, the way she's able to articulate her ideas creatively and comically, the way she's able to read the world, the different talents that she has. And I find that sometimes when she's in spaces, what she'll lead with is the degrees and the graduating from Columbia. And for that, I'm like, nah, it's not those institutions that made you credible. It's who you are and what you've brought and what you did before you got to the institution, what you did when you were there. When she talks about her project, I'm like, I don't know that anybody really directed you to do something like that. And that's what she did afterwards. And so I think that's something that I also got from it as well. I think when people say she's intelligent, they're coming from the space of like, wow, she be using these big words. She seems to have read a lot. She got her master's degree. And I think that also just doesn't set up, because those institutions never really deem us credible in the first place. And so I feel like we're chasing something else when we look to the institution to be that space that validates us. So I think that was like kind of like my pushback, but also as a way to just like lift up, I think, who she is outside of that. And then I think it became interesting then by the end when it came out that she wasn't clinically diagnosed. And then there was a conversation around like, well, who's the expert that gave you that diagnosis? And then there was pushback that she was giving there. But for me, it felt like it was like kind of contradicting this way that she's led, where it's like, I am degreed. That means something. Hip hop going through the academy means something. And so that's where I kind of see the tensions, but they make sense.
And I love the tension. I do, because and I love how you describe that, Mimi, like leaning on her natural gifts that she's had before attending Columbia. And I mean, she's gotten so far off of her own talents and her own abilities. So, yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that insight and perspective too.
What you thinking, Dr. Lacey?
Yeah. Well, my question was good. Well, I'm trying to form my question, but what happens is whether, right, like thinking about autism, one of the defining features is that hierarchies don't exist. You just treat everyone the same. So like in the social world, right, if someone has a particular title or degree, other people may hold more reverence or like respect toward them. They may like sit up straight or be like, oh, like use a title or something, Dr. So-and-so. and this is a gross overgeneralization, right? But in terms of not seeing hierarchies, that doesn't matter that your name is Dr. Henry. It doesn't matter. It's like I'm going to talk to you in the same way that I talk to anyone else. And so if we take that concept, right, everyone also loves to say what Amanda Seals of like, oh, but her resume is so impressive. He read all of her accomplishments in the beginning, right? And she so much that she was like gagged, like what? And so then to fast forward to a moment where he's talking to her like, well, you just have to play the game. You just like this, what's the word? Like when you play in somebody's face, like I can't think of the word right now, but like how we go from you see how smart and capable she is, like she's the top of everything, to now you're talking down to her, like as if she can't comprehend what you're saying. So that was the one thing too. And for her to your point, like I have to say I am a scholar in this. This is not just my personal opinion. He still couldn't see it. So then my brain goes, what is his experience? Like what did he hear versus what she said?
Mm.
If I right, going back to that thing of you said, you know, the institutions that make us credible, like we're bringing ourselves there. This is just paperwork. I like to say it's just like paper, but I was already this brilliant and this creative and with all these ideas. Like not to say you don't get anything from your academic programs, but you do, and a lot of them will, or a lot of programs will say that's why we ask for these particular students to come here because they're so creative, because they're so brilliant. But yet it's a program and they're like, they start talking to you like, well, you just need to look this up. You're like, no, I have a real question. I'm like, oh, you just need to read some more. Just not trying hard enough. When I think about to link this conversation, these two situations in my head, it's really coming down to there's a certain way you're supposed to act so that so the system can control you, and you're not doing that. And so since you're not doing that, we're going to send people who might look like you, come coming from, may do the same research as you, like i.e. your chair advisor, who's going to keep you in line. And because we're so used to being in the system, y'all, hopefully sir does not bark, because having a dog situation is a timeout. But the system is like, it comes out like, oh, I'm gonna have to hold on. I'm sorry, because I don't want it to be. Let me tell you a quick story. I know this is real ADHD of me right now, but my cousin has her dog visiting. He's a pit bull.
Oh.
He's like 70, 80 pounds. And at first it was cute. They were playing. It was good. It's not, I don't know who's not playing no more. I don't know who got tired, but it's not. So that is why I started in here. Yeah. And so that's why you're probably like, well, girl, why you have them in the room? That's because we got to keep things separate or have something. So go with me. But the system, right? I could go back to my, but like the system will, in the same way, like how he was doing to her, like, you just got to play the game. It's rules, right? Your chair will be like, oh, is that real? Is that a real topic? Oh, can you give me some citations? Oh, you want to use that theory? Well, I haven't heard that. Like, right? It sounds like they're trying to be helpful. I released a reel about this earlier. It sounds like people are trying to be helpful, but what if they're just trying to reinforce the very abusive system? So I forgot last question, or come back. But if you have any thoughts around that. I know you're probably like, Howie, that's her brain. That's why I be up at like, like making connections and things.
And analyzing Kindred's lyrics.
Because to me, it's really, because to me, it's really about, this beef situation is really about accountability. How long are we gonna all be complicit in a system and be quiet? Like, we make the jokes, especially when it comes to Drake, like or people like Drake, because it's not even just about Drake. We make jokes, we let things pass, and we're like, oh, that's just how it is. What does accountability look like? What does accountability look like in higher education? I guess because that's where my brain is thinking.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I feel like I don't know. I think what happens is coming into the program. Coming into the program, I was feeling confident from where I was. I used to be a teacher, educator, and I feel like I got to this space where I kind of made my classroom what I envisioned it to be. And that felt really good. And I was also like empowered by having a coach and a manager who just like let me do that. And then I came into the program just like I came in hot. And I feel like there were folks, oftentimes too, when you have people who are either close to graduated newly out, you may get like, I would have complaints around certain things, and I would get advice from folks further along to not necessarily play the game, but kind of participate and like do the things. Um, and I think that was hard. And now I'm also in this space where, because I wonder if some of it came less from like, play the game because that's what you should do and that's the right thing to do, and more of like fatigue. Because I feel like that's where I'm at right now, where I'm just like, forget it, don't even, because it has worn me out.
Mm-hmm.
So that is like one thing. And then, I don't know, I guess that there's this like dissonance that happens when you're in, I'd say like the academy, where it's like the commitment to playing the game to disrupt, but then sometimes it's like you played the game so much that you in fact have been played and don't realize the extent to which you're heavy in it. And so sometimes there's maybe not like an awareness that that is even what you are encouraging other folks to do. I see that in the ways that some folks talk, the extent to which they use the language of the academy and like the processes to do radical work. And it's hard. And I don't know. I'm in a space, I think when I came in hot, I was like, what are they doing? This is goofy. And I understand how it happens. And so I just try to stay grounded. I think it helps that I don't have intentions of being in the academy and I have an advisor who is willing to let me do my thing in some ways. But I think that part is hard. Because I do think sometimes when I feel like the person is giving me advice that they think in fact is like radical or pushing against certain norms, I kind of see it as still a part of
Mhm.
the academe, if you will, in a way that I'm just like, it's hard. I don't know. Clearly, I'm here, I'm like, I don't have answers, but I have experienced that.
I understand what you're saying, Mimi. It is a dissonance. It's a tension. I think I'm gonna lean on sort of my lens as a first generation student entering college and what I've learned about college since starting college, which has motivated me to say, to want to be in higher ed. Like it started my career off because I wanted to help other students like myself go to college because I saw the I learned from my experience, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, and I've stuck with those ideas, and it has shaped how I approach a lot of the work that I do. And I've never felt like my positioning or my philosophy around helping low income students, marginalized students, helping people navigate college as little on debt as possible, being transformative, but it has caused a lot of tension along the way of my career, where I recognize that these institutions that are created for white male students, or white men, are not necessarily created, and are going to be very accepting of the ideas that I put forth. And that has happened over and over again, because we'll have policy. I live in Florida, and we have policies that, one that is in place right now that centers, there's two of them. I'll give you. It's financial related, but basically, students who grandparents own property in Florida could claim in-state tuition. So right then, I'm already thinking, I'm like, this benefits who mostly, and also, how do you prove that, especially in a financial aid form, that this is that person's grandparent and everything. So I'm like, this is already benefiting. It's not necessarily benefiting, or even targeting, or even, it wasn't a thought to benefit like low income Black students. It's like one of those tools to benefit white students. Another resource is like the buy one, get one free education. Basically, it was for engineering. It is for engineering students, engineering majors. But basically, for one credit, they'll get another credit for free. And when you look at the rates, and this is where the institution that I was working at, you would see that there's a small percentage of Black students who were enrolled in engineering programs. So it was often a conversation that I would bring up in the workplace, in different settings, and it's not well received. We are hired, and if you were to go into the student affairs field, it's sort of, you're hired to uphold those policies that are discriminatory, that continues to marginalize groups. And I wrestle with it. I do consider it a risk to work in higher ed institutions, and in this type of environment, especially if you are looking to advocate for changes or create impact for marginalized, underserved groups, Black students. It's a constant dissonance. That intention that you live with, and something that I reflect on quite a bit. But I'm still going to do it anyway. I'm still going to do it regardless.
That's real.
You can't help to think about like all the faculty and staff and administrators who are out there with the courageous students, and everybody is like sacrificing and risking everything. And the best advice I got when going into higher ed is like, determine what your line is before you start in higher education. Like go ahead and write up a form resignation letter, especially my background being in like identity-based centers. So students already protesting consistently, and I'm sure like now it's just the people are there. But it's like, where's your line, and have that letter ready, because they're gonna, at some point, you're probably gonna be asked to do something, and you have to decide, is this my line or no? And I don't think I wish we had more conversations like that with educators, because that's real. Because I feel like the main narrative is you just have to stick it out because you have to do it for the kids. But what if you're going to risk your job for the kids or the students? So that just came up for me as you were at the end, Candace, as you were speaking.
What does this mean for this piece on accountability that you're talking about, Dr. Lacey? Like accountability to whom, who's accountable to whom?
To whom? The first thing that came to mind was to yourself. But then that requires us to sit down and really reflect on, like, what are my values? What are the values that in general lead my life, my decision making? Like, what are the standards I have for myself And the reason why I'm starting there is most of the people who are interacting with these accounts that I interact with through this business, so used to looking externally for what I like, the values, the beliefs, the code of conduct, that there hasn't been much space to be like, but do I even agree with this? Am I acting, am I intentionally deciding that these are beliefs, these are my values? This is why I dress the way I do. This is why I speak the way that I do. This is why I chose this program. Like, am I actually sitting with that? Or just like got into this loop of just doing it because that's what we were told would mean like we would be doing it right. And I forgot which one of you like at the beginning was talking about like I did everything, got the degrees, I got the jobs, but it's making me think of this in the PhD process. I was like, I did everything everybody told me to do. Why am I still having so much resistance? I did exactly. I stayed out of trouble. I went to all the school. I did all the activities. I did the internships. Did extra jobs. Like I'm about to graduate with a PhD, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be any easier. And then I go to the job that's where I'm supposed to be respected with the degree and the letters, and it's like, oh, you should just be happy. You should be happy that you have this. It's like, excuse me. And so it just this was like this identity crisis of sort of like everything everybody told me, and this is what I did it for. No. And I wanted to be mad at the world. I wanted to be mad at, well, like, it's my parents. It's like, so it's this. And there's a time and place for all these conversations. But I also had to sit down and be like, well, what are you intentionally choosing? Like, you made this decision, right? People are encouraging, but I made the decision, and not from a shame, like beat myself up, but like, in the same way I made these decisions, I can make other decisions. But what do I want those other decisions to be? And it's when I got real like focused on I'm a black feminist through and through. Like my praxis is rooted in black feminism, and so I feel like I can fully express that ethic in higher ed. So I was like, I'm gonna build my own thing, and that means I have to have a conversation. Like, okay, so what does that require? That requires you to prioritize this, even when you're tired, even when you don't want to do it, like even when you're like it's not working. Right? Our values goes back to that because it's not about me. If I say, oh, I'm doing this because I want to help collectively Black women do this, then I have to show up and live out that. So I'm running away with that example, but I guess I will start there is, do people know what their values are? Have they questioned their beliefs? Have they questioned their moral code? And if those words are too grandiose, like, have you questioned the decisions that you make on a daily basis? Why do you make those decisions? What is informing those decisions? And how often are we doing this interrogation work of why do we do the things that we do? And to be like our reasons, yes or no?
Mimi, do you want to go first?
I'm like, was that too much? What is
No. What came up for me is just like, and then when you know better, you don't have to do better, but it would make sense. Was what followed suit. So I just think that I'm in that space, maybe some of like the grieving space. I will say that there are folks that I know and some of my peers that I see going the faculty route, and I think they're going to be dope. I think I am where I am as somebody who is a Black feminist because of the Black woman that stayed in the academy. And I think it became clear very soon that I need to be elsewhere. And so it's hard. And it's hard to not have shame for it, Dr. Lacey, like the version of you that decided to do this thing. Because I think when I have interrogated, like, wait, why did you do this? It was to follow with the program that I created for myself, however many years before I actually did the program. And so now I'm in this space where it's like, okay, so now you're not trying to do this. What are you trying to do? And fear that, because I feel like my career has kind of been like going to the place, trying to do the things, coming in hot, then trying to play the game, then getting played, then just feeling too much tension and stress and that wearing on me and me being like, oh my gosh, it's been so great, can't stay here. And so I think there's like some fear around just like replicating that or just like experiencing that. And when I say replicate, that's not to like, there's some personal responsibility here, but these issues are systemic. And so I think because I know I'll be confronted with this in another space, and it may like look different, but it is the same. And so I think that's what I struggle with. But yeah, it's tricky. But I think I'm in that like grieving space where all the things that I thought I wanted, once I actually questioned them, I realized that I didn't want it. I realized that my desire for that actually increased my lack of self-worth. And I think that has kind of been like the gag. Because I think when you ascend, initially it feels like, wow, I'm making it, I'm doing it. And I feel like my mental health declined with each step that I moved up. And so I think that's something that I am dealing with now.
Yeah. I think I share with you, you all, just there was, crossing this threshold and entering this, and I can't say it's the end. It's like a transition. But there was a moment of panic because I was like, oh shit, I done pissed somebody off. I done pissed a lot of people off by becoming Dr. C. Marie Henry. Like I have become what folks have not liked. And there's rhetoric around it. Black, educated, plus size, dark skin, a woman, single, no kids. I've become that that image of what people don't like, and I've pissed some people off. And I'm going to continue to piss people off for a long time. And most of my life, if not all, I've been following my conviction, what I believe that God want me to do. And I've even when I developed my framework and went through it in my dissertation, I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to be concerned about. Black women finances. And it wasn't necessarily, it was about Black women, but also was about healing what I've been through. And so I've been following that. That's been my North Star. And I also recognize since crossing this threshold and getting the quotation doctor and quotation expert, getting the oh, is this real or is not real? The questioning. I realized that I'm going to continue to follow that path. I'm not stopping. There are going to be negative reactions to it, and while I have fear, I also use fear as confirmation that I'm going down the right path. This is what I'm going to do. Like this is it, and I can use other tools and resources. I can tap into other resources to fund what I need to do, and I will. But at the end of the day, it's going to be about like that framework of helping to educate Black women about finances. It is going to be about student loan debt. It's going to be about all those things that I find important. At the end of the day, it's going to be about my art. It's going to be about creating. It's going to be about me performing. I cannot get away from any of those things. Those are part of my existence. And I truly believe that since I made these sacrifices, I get to live in my truth for the rest of my life. I made the sacrifices to go to school and to earn my doctorate. I made the sacrifice to be an excellent performer. I made those sacrifices. So regardless, I'm going to live my truth and be just who I'm created to be. I recognize that there are going to be negativity and things like that. But I also recognize that as authentic as I stay to my true self, that I will be in spaces that will reward me greatly for being just that. So that's what my mission is. That's like my North Star, is to continue doing that. That is why I appreciate Amanda Steele, regardless, right, wrong, or indifferent, being liked. And I don't agree with everything that she says, which gives me confidence to say what I have to say, because you don't always have to be right. She's speaking her truth, little t or big T, but you don't have to be right. Every lived experience is just that. It's an experience, but there's different perspectives of how those experiences go. We continue to live. So I appreciate her living her truth and her honesty, and that she's built a platform off of her, like, personality, good or bad. She's making good money off of just her name, and able to hire staff off of her name. And she's been sustaining this for at least several years. That's why I'm like, I like, that's a dope queen. But it comes with its things, but we don't have to agree with everything that she says. But she has a platform, and she's making good money. Like, and it's not about the money. She is standing on her own convictions of what she believes in, even when the rest of the world, or portions of the world, don't agree with her.
Yeah.
I definitely respect it.
And I want to be all the way clear, just in case anyone is wondering. I'm like, if you want to go like work, like higher ed, continuing education, do that. For me, my hope is for everyone to realize that you're doing it by choice, not because you have to. And I hope you get to create that reality for yourself, because if life is going to be like this one big challenge that is personalized to us, but we're going to have to learn and continuously grow. And there are going to be parts of it that's not going to be our favorites, right? Like, if I'm going to have to go through it anyway, my point is, like, I'd rather it be how I'm deciding it as much as possible, instead of thinking that, well, I have to endure this abuse, and not all places are abusive. And just thinking about patterns of like, yeah, I'll have to endure this abuse. I'm gonna exit over here. And something I was saying earlier, like, I think that irritates people, because it's like, why don't you want to play the game? Like, why don't you want to get to the top? Like, why are you so quickly able to do that? And to me, that's freedom. Freedom says, like, yeah, I want to do this, and as long as it's good for me, it's good for me. But I have other options that I've built for myself, and that's what I appreciate about Amanda. To your point, like, she has built options for herself, and I think that's why people are irritated, because they're like, okay, well, you were a musician, and you got to be a part of one of the largest groups, and then you messed that up, and then you over here, like, you've been acting very little, and now you kind of messing that up because nobody likes you. And it's like, it's public opinion. And if she was choosing one of those, right, just say, like, for her, music was gonna be everything, but she didn't have options, where would she be right now? That's what my brain keeps thinking. Like, something else would have come up because of, no doubt, connections and whatnot. But I just think about the number of celebrities in the past few years that have been like, oh, work at Trader Joe's, or they work over here. And it's because they didn't have the access to the knowledge, like, I'm sure, like, they can create options in a world with the internet. And not to say everything has to be on the internet, but I just want people to know they have options. It's my whole point.
Dr. Lacey, that's what Qual Scholars has done for me, is to expose me to my options. Because I think when I joined the group, I felt like I was stuck in a box, and that I was experiencing a negative work experience, and I felt like I didn't have a lot of options, even though I was going through this process of earning my dissertation or earning my doctorate. I felt like I didn't have a lot of options, and I was dealing with abuse. But through Qual Scholars, I grew in my confidence. I expand my view, and now, like, I'm aware of all those options. So when I'm presented an option, I'm like, okay, I see what you're offering and I might dabble in this, but I also have my own baby that I'm developing and I have my own thing that I'm developing. So you will be a tool for me and you're lucky to have me in your space. And if you want to pay me for that, then, I know my worth. And oftentimes we go into these spaces that are not created for us and we try to be what they want us to be and we let them use us. But I feel very empowered to say that, I'm your, here's my resources, here's the services I provide. You will pay for those things and to have my name affiliated with it. I do feel empowered in that way. And it's a wonderful space to be in as a Black woman, emerging scholar, and knowing that I'm not stuck here. I'm an asset to these companies, not not something that I should be like, oh, thankful. Like I am thankful for the opportunity, of course, but yeah, it's definitely a span, like how I see my career versus a job, and also how I see my whole life. And what are the opportunities I create for myself versus people creating for me. And I think a lot of people had power, and I gave them power because I gave them the impression that they, controlled that for me. But I recognize I have more of a say than I ever knew.
That's a word.
She about to cry.
Okay, well, the button's trying to take me out. That's a whole word. Yes. My brain was like, oh, I wish I would have like zoomed in on you and just, like you just go ahead and put that on your feature website because that was yes, it was beautiful. I guess, are there any, as we transition to end the conversation, what are your hopes for Black women in the academy? I guess I'll frame it that way. What are your hopes? So my hope is that people have options. Just like how you said, this is one of the things, and I will allow you to use some of my tools and skill sets for your endeavors, but you're just lucky to have me. And so it's my hope that every Black woman, and all folks know that, but especially Black women.
I love that. Like I have a little wish list. My hope for Black women is compensation in the form of payment. I think also just that Black women's brilliance can be illuminated for what it is. I feel like limiting us to these, paper publications and these manuscripts doesn't do just like us justice. It does not show what we are fully capable of. And so I hope that the Academy can catch up and be as expansive and as creative and as visionary as it needs to be able to hold our ideas. And that these spaces be safe for us to be. It feels like legitimately risky to be a Black woman in academia right now. Those are just a few of my wishes.
Mimi, I echo a lot of what you're saying. I was thinking financial empowerment for Black women, like not only be holding to the salary that is given, but also those opportunities that exist outside of academia. Sometimes, academia has put structures and stuff in a way for Black women to grow financially in that space, but also health. Going along with what you're saying, the scholar basics that we emphasize every week and reminded of, I appreciate that because there was no space that was reminding me to take care of myself besides my best friend who sat me down and was like, I need you to be okay because we're supposed to grow old together, and so I just that we need to prioritize our health. We often work in sedentary environments, sitting, office work, and health and drinking water, like just taking care of ourselves as a whole is not always prioritized. Managing our stress. I love the way that the Qual Scholar framework is all about finding those times throughout the day to do a little bit every day towards the goals that we have, starting with 10 hours a week. I love how we set that framework and, expand it over time. But those things, we need boundaries so that we give ourselves permission, and Black women have permission to in academia to also have a life. Like, one of the things that I'm getting from a lot of people in academia, and I've gotten from academia in my own like 14 plus years career, is it's all about work, 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 work. And if you do have fun, you're not focused on the goal. But I think we need to make sure that we incorporate a well-rounded life, and we support that not only for ourselves, but for each other. So that's what I would want to just, continue financial empowerment and prioritizing our health and well-being. That's what I'm going to do for myself. And I want to do it for other women.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And we could talk about the Met fashion. I'm sorry, I was about to switch.
I haven't been following. Well, because I'm like, the people ain't even really there yet. Okay, the person I did see, 2 people, Zendaya. I was like, yes, I love it. Yes, yeah. And Emma Chamberlain. I'm like, I'm clearly looks. I'm like, I don't care about nobody in their flowers. I care about when your villain era at. So like those 2, I really love. I love their dresses. But I haven't seen too many other people. So what about you?
Tiana hit the scene.
What's the theme?
Garden.
I gotta look back.
The Garden of Time. Sleeping Beauties, reawakening fashion, dress code, the Garden of Time. And Tiana Taylor has hit the scene, looking gorge.
I love these live updates. I only saw Ben Simmons, the basketball player who has not played basketball in a minute, and he had this clock on. And so there were so many jokes about time and the amount of time he hasn't spent playing. So I was came through that.
Yeah. No, I was like, I'm gonna look forward to everybody's analysis tonight of my nightly scroll. I usually don't watch it in real time, especially when my fave is not there. I'm like, if it's not a Beyonce or a Rihanna, I don't care. And I'll just look at it later.
I get that.
Yeah.
I understand, definitely. But yeah, Zendaya did it. What I love about Zendaya, she just don't wear clothes. And like her face, she gives it all.
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole, like, from the nails to the lips to the makeup look, I'm like, I wasn't really feeling this whole like blush and eyeshadow, but the way she got this look going, I'm like, I'm about to try it. I'm about to try the nail color and the whole look. Yes.
Yeah, she's a vibe. Shout out to her stylist. I forget his name.
Law. I think it's Law. Something Law. Yeah, I love that guy.
I need to do a case study on her because I'm like, come on, transitions through life and ages. And we're just over here with you for the ride. Yes, most people can't do that.
That's real.
Okay, how can people stay in contact with y'all if they wanna follow up with you?
Ooh. You always hear people doing this on the radio, and I'll be like, get it out. And now I'm over here like, okay, where can you find me? On Instagram, I'm miss.owusu. It's all lowercase. I also have a blog called Ordinary African Student that is on Medium, and it's just about my experiences as I'm navigating this wild time that is trying to finish my dissertation. And so I always post that on my Instagram. It's been a soft launch. I got to get back on the socials. I've been off of them to just preserve me, but I'll be on there.
You can find me at IM_C Marie PhD. I may accept your friend request. I don't know, but I do need to do a better job of building my platform. That is my 2024 goal. And I have a platform for my the services for my company is College Financial Success Services. Helping individuals navigate college with as little loan debt as possible. That is an Instagram page. Not really active right now, but over the next year, this upcoming year, you will see more things coming out.
Absolutely, because we are all working on this. Thank y'all so much for sharing your
Yes.
time and your brilliance. Y'all, can y'all help me in the comments? Encourage them to come back, and maybe we can make this a whole series. You know, you never know. It
Yes,
just popped up.
I see what you're trying to
I
do.
need help. Okay, I'll be back here next Monday, y'all. And come check us out in the Institute because it's time to finish the dissertation.
Yes.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. We still live?
Mhm.